Hey, it is party time, Mom. Welcome to another episode of the Chad Prather Show, Studio 22, the mothership. Puppet Master, I'm going to need you to set the course headings for the border. We're going to go to the border today, all right? We're going to fly into the nether regions of all things border crisis with our special guest, Victor Avila, and Kayla Swift, as I like to call you. We got to come up with a better nickname for you, I think, than Kayla Swift. And, of course, Candace, the queen of the Ethiopians. And I'm trying to think of a better one, because Justin, when he's in here, just in case Candace, the queen of the Ethiopians, isn't here, that's a long nickname. That's a long one. So I'm on the prowl for new nicknames, right? Hot News Natalie, Party Foul Steve, Lisa Page made me do it. What's that sticker you're wearing?
I love the sticker. It should be a pop socket.
Yeah, Delta Dawn. What's that sticker you got on?
Pop socket.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if you can even read it. But it's got, see, we got our new little logos right there. I don't know if you guys can see them right there. The Chad Prather Show. Look at that.
Official.
Yeah, we got them on the back of the mic. We're going to be a real thing one day.
No.
Like, we're going to have people that watch this show. It's going to be fantastic.
They do all that stuff right before they axe you. That's sorry, Chad.
That's the deal. They pump you up on it. Doesn't, yeah. Like, I think my contract here at the Blaze is coming up in a few months, so you never know. I don't know at this point.
They'll say, "Hey, we got you stickers for your mic."
Yeah.
No pay raise.
Yeah. I'm gonna say words on today's episode that could get me canceled in cancel culture. Victor, we were talking about before we got on here, because you got your book out, Agent Under Fire. We're gonna talk about this story. It's a fascinating story you've got, Victor, and we're gonna talk about what's going on down at the border today. But you were saying that these days you can't call illegals. Border Patrol agents can't write illegal on the documents, right?
Yeah, the Biden administration just sent it out yesterday through the Department of Homeland Security. You cannot use the term illegal alien or assimilation, not even in legal documents, like in reports or to the U.S. courts or reports of investigation. And this is nuts because that's the legal term.
Right.
In the Immigration and Nationality Act, the book that I have at home, I still have it. That's how it's referred to.
Yeah.
A resident alien card is issued. It's even on the card. That's the term that we use. This has nothing to do with racism. It has nothing to do with immorality or anything like that. That's just the legal term that you refer to a person that is not from this country and is here without any documents.
You start changing the language. It's always first. You start changing the language.
If you either come into this country legally or illegally, period, right?
Nope, not
ways.
anymore.
Not under Biden.
Not anymore.
No.
All right.
They've changed
I can see
the
maybe
language.
doing away with the alien part. Maybe there's another word we use other than alien, but
I've said over and over again, guys, you've heard, and this is just burned in my soul. There's no way to create a solution to a crisis and be politically correct at the same time. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
They keep moving the goalposts on what's politically correct. So now if I can't use the word illegal when you're illegal, and I can't say that if you come into this country, you need to assimilate into this country, and we know for a fact that those coming here do not have any desire to assimilate. They want to bring the culture of their own country here.
And you're absolutely right, Chad. What it is, they're setting it up for the continuing open borders policy that they love and that we're seeing at the border right now. And the crisis that he obviously slipped and said it was a crisis. Yeah. Biden said, we've been waiting for him to say that word. And then he said it. And then immediately the White House says, whoa, wait a minute. It wasn't not that crisis. Yeah. Not that crisis. We're talking about another crisis.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Central America, but not the one at the border.
Yeah, Jen Psaki, she was bending over backwards with verbal gymnastics trying to weave her way.
back quick, wasn't she?
She was circling back real
around.
quick. Somebody get that girl a hair tie or something to get that hair out of her freaking face. She cannot stop messing with her hair the entire time. I mean, it is, and I love how she virtue signals. As soon as she comes in, she'll take her mask off, and then when she's done, she immediately puts the mask back on. That's her way of saying press conference is over. You know know what? It drives me crazy is when I go to the drive-thru and I order food, and I've got to talk to somebody not only through a plexiglass deal, but they're wearing a mask, and I already can't understand them without the mask, and now they're trying, and I can't hear a word they're saying.
And you can't read their lips.
And they stick the card reader out there, and I've got to try to stick the card right
while
in that
they're
hole.
moving it around for you.
It's like one is. I got jokes. I'm just not going to talk about. It's hard. It's hard. This is first world problems. It's okay though. We don't.
Well, I'm excited that you invited Officer Poncherelli.
I know, right?
So he
Hey,
is.
down. Chips, baby.
Yes.
Dean Kane.
Skinny Dean
Or
Kane.
Skinny Dean Kane.
Yeah.
Skinny Dean Kane.
We're gonna get into it today, guys. It's gonna be a fun episode. The Blaze and I have warned you about home title theft, where cyber thieves remove you from your home's title and they become the owner of your home. I said you better get home title lock because it's coming, folks. If you're on Facebook, there was a big breach, and Facebook had 500 million accounts that were exposed to cyber thieves. And according to retired FBI cybercrime expert, everything thieves need to take over as the new owner of your home was leaked. Your name, address, personal information. It's out there, folks. The thief forges your signature on a quitclaim deed stating you sold your home to them, and they're going to leave you in debt or even have you evicted from your own home because, according to the title, you don't own it anymore. Do what I did. Protect your home's title with Home Title Lock. Go to HomeTitleLock.com. Register your address to see if you're already a victim. Then sign up for 30 free days of protection during this high-risk breach. Again, go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use promo code RADIO. That's HomeTitleLock.com. Promo code RADIO. We'll be right back. Yeah, I mean, I can understand, as we were saying, them trying to get rid of the word alien, right? Which is stupid. It comes from the Latin, which just means from someplace else, right? And but we've created a meaning for words that don't exist, and this whole thing. If we don't define the problem, we can't solve the problem, and we do have a border crisis.
I looked up alien. It's relating, belonging, or owing allegiance to another country or government.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That is the Merriam. I'm sure that's going to change that definition. But
They got to change that anyway because of the real aliens coming.
They're
pretty
watching.
soon.
They're offended.
So
They're
the
offended.
real aliens.
Yeah.
There's so much wrong with that one statement that I don't even want to start unpacking it. The real aliens.
yeah,
That's funny. But don't worry, China is putting laser beams in space. Don't forget. We're all going to be fine. Of course, they're going to wipe us off the map. But tell me your story. It is incredible. And I need our listeners, our viewers, to hear and see this. You had quite an ordeal.
I did. This book that I wrote is because of that. I included obviously a little bit more about me and my career and my human trafficking investigations. That's my subject matter expertise, and the border and narcotics trafficking. I've worked most of my career on the border, and then back in 2008, I actually was permanently assigned first on the other side of El Paso, Texas, in Juarez, where at that time it was the most dangerous city in the world. Right now, it's the second most dangerous city in the world, right behind Tijuana. So as you can imagine, this is over 10 years ago, and the violence hasn't changed. These cartels are out of control, and we'll talk more about the cartels. But my assignment then went to the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City, and I was doing really, really good work, was able to be successful in taking down numerous human trafficking organizations and rescued countless women and children from these horrific conditions that were being trafficked in the U.S., all over the U.S., New York, Houston, Atlanta, Miami, you name it. And then February 15th, 2011 came around. I got an assignment to go from the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City to Monterey and meet our agents from the Monterey ICE office to pick up some equipment from them. It was kind of a botched assignment. I challenged it because of the security issues. And I'll quote my deputy attaché, my supervisor that said that he wasn't aware of any security issues in Mexico.
Wow.
And I said, if you say that while you're in charge of the office, you're either incompetent or doing it on purpose, right? Because, of course, the whole country of Mexico is a security issue. Mm-hmm. It's been like that, and it's worse now. And nevertheless, I get ordered, and I get assigned Special Agent Jaime Zapata to go with me. Agent Zapata had just arrived in the country just a week before on a temporary duty assignment from the Laredo office, helping on a big arms trafficking investigation. And anyway, they say, you're going to take Agent Zapata with you to help you drive. I said, okay. I had an armored vehicle issued to me. We take off on February 15th, make contact with our agents, pick up that equipment, which was a lot of equipment. It filled up the whole back of the Suburban. On the way back, I was still driving. We stopped and ate at a Subway restaurant because Agent Zapata saw Subway in a churches. And he's like, what are these restaurants doing in Mexico? And I tell him, they're all here. It's just a little bit different, but they're all here. And so we ate Subway, and I threw him the keys after lunch. I said, it's your time to drive. And within 15 minutes of him driving, we were ambushed, surrounded by 2 SUVs full of Zeta cartel members. Now, we didn't know they were Zeta cartel members at the time, but they were armed with AK-47s and handguns. They forced us off the road to the right shoulder, and eventually there's a lot of commotion, a lot of chaos. My armored window of the Suburban came down a couple of inches in our attempt to lock the doors, and they were able to introduce an AK-47 and a handgun right by my head. And I raised the window, I caught the barrels of both guns, and tried to brace myself from not away from the barrels. And without notice, they opened fire into the cabin, striking Agent Zapata, who was driving, multiple times on the side and lethally in his leg with an AK-47 round. I got shot 3 times, once in the chest and twice in my left leg. I wrestled the handgun, burned my hand severely. And then eventually they pulled the guns out. I raised the window and they shot over 100 rounds at us. And so I'm here before you by the grace of God. They left. We crashed. I tried to get out of the X and put the vehicle back on the road. Agent Zapata was already becoming unresponsive. The vehicle went into the median, and I saw the SUVs leave, and one of them actually came back, did a U-turn, parked right in front of the Suburban. 2 shooters came out with AK-47s and stood right in front of me and just shot through that bulletproof window. They're trying to penetrate the bulletproof glass, and thankfully they did not. And you can see pictures online if you Google it. Eventually they left. I called for help. There's a call online that I called the U.S. Embassy, kind of a distress call. And eventually I was able to call the only person I trusted from the Mexican Federal Police was the head of our vetted unit. We had a unit that we vet through polygraph examination. I called him. He was able to dispatch a helicopter from Mexico City. We were in the middle of a Highway 57, about 5 hours from Mexico City. Eventually, the cavalry showed up about 40 minutes later. I detail, obviously, a lot more details in the book of the shooting. And eventually, they flew us to a local hospital in the state of San Luis Potosí, where Agent Jaime passed. And I was treated by the trauma unit there. And that's where the fear set in for me, because I know the cartels go and finish people. And I tell the story about me refusing any IV or any medication because I thought the hospital staff was going to kill me. As you know, the cartels are corrupt everywhere. Eventually, the SWAT kind of type elite units showed up from the federal police and surrounded the building, made it secure, and said, you're safe, Avila. And the hospital staff thought that we were Mexican federal police officers, which was to my advantage because I didn't want to tell them, I didn't identify myself. But once it was secure, I remember going off on them and telling them, as a proud American, I'm an American, I'm a U.S. Embassy employee, I'm a U.S. diplomat, I'm a special agent with ICE. And they're kind of like, oh my goodness, we have an international incident in our hands here. And then the story goes on. The aftermath, probably worse, ended up being worse. This was all happening under the Obama administration. We find out 2 of the weapons recovered from that attack were part of the Fast and Furious operation that allowed guns to walk from the U.S. into Mexico.
Yeah, scandal-free administration. Let me remind everybody.
Right.
That's what they claim.
And so it was a nightmare, to say the least, for myself and my family. My wife and 2 kids were with me in Mexico. They had 1 hour to pack a bag, and they extracted them from Mexico in a very unique fashion. Eventually, we were able to reunite in Texas, and then started moving all over the place. The Obama administration did a good job of keeping me from everyone else. Not a good thing. They were able to keep me quiet, not talk to anyone. They kept my coworkers and everyone away from me. And my coworkers and my friends would tell me, they told me to stay away from you, Victor. Don't email them, don't talk to them. Eventually, my email was canceled. My law enforcement call sign was canceled. They took my guns. I was on the clock, but I wasn't a working agent. And so if you fast forward till 2015, I went and looked for a retirement to separate. I wanted an early retirement. They denied that, but I was granted a medical retirement.
Wow.
One of the scary parts of that, the very beginning, where you said the only person you trusted to call within the Mexican, government, and that just how deep the corruption goes.
Yeah, I remember him when I called him, and he was able to dispatch the helicopter. He gave me the name and badge number of the commander that was going to show up at the scene, and I have since eventually talked to him in person. But when he showed up to the window of the Suburban, I made him get out his credentials from his wallet, and he put it through, because I had very limited visibility because of all the gunshots. And I remember putting it through the crevice, and I was trying to read his name because I wasn't going to open the door for anyone.
Wow.
And so that was the fear that set in. And I talk about this in the book. I felt like such an outsider and a foreigner. Even though I'm from Mexican descent, my parents came from Mexico legally. I felt like I was in China. It was such an ugly feeling that I couldn't trust anybody. I felt alone. And it's a very ugly feeling to go through that, knowing that you're working in that country. You're trying, you have the U.S. mission to advance the U.S. mission to help not only the U.S., but the Mexican government as well. But that's not the case. And I'm not shy to say it. They're not on our side. Mexico is not on our side. They don't like us.
Right.
And you see what's happening in the crisis on the border. We're not getting the support that we need. President Trump was able to get to them by telling them, and we're going to put sanctions on you. We're going to raise tariffs on you. And I'm going to stop the money repatriating back by the illegal aliens. That's $28 billion a year that they sent back there. If that money stops flowing south, Mexico will crumble. And the president of Mexico said, "Oh, wait a minute, I'll put the National Guard and stop the people," right? But that's all gone under the Biden administration. And that's what you see right now is this crisis down there that we have.
Yeah, and we got a lot to talk about.
To not even accept medication when you've been shot, like that resonated with me. Like no IVs, nothing, because you're afraid that they're going to.
Nothing. They were so concerned about my blood pressure because it was through the roof, and my adrenaline because it wouldn't come down. The U.S. Embassy doctor and the U.S. personnel showed up about 4 or 5 hours later. And even the U.S. Embassy doctor says, "Victor, I need to bring you down." He wanted to give me some medication. And I didn't want to take it. Eventually, when they flew me out to Houston in the middle of the night, DEA let us borrow their plane, and they got me out. He said, "I'm going to have to give you something." And I said, "Okay, I'll take it." It kind of knocked me out a little bit to bring down my blood pressure and my heart rate.
Wow. It's a wild ride, man. And, that's why we talk about things like the concept of assimilating is so important. Right, because it's not a bad word. This is we have completely different culture. You have folks south of the border that they've been trained and brainwashed since childhood, since infancy.
Right.
That human life doesn't matter. I mean, it's all about protecting the cartel. It's about protecting what they're doing and their flow of cash, and they'll destroy anyone that stands in the way. And we talk about, you say, yeah, well, that happened in Mexico. Well, just a couple of years ago, the guy got shot in front of the courthouse, was a cartel hit right there in South Lake.
That's right.
Yep.
So if you think that you're immune to this, you're not. It's everywhere. And then you add in the MS-13 gangs, which are all over the nation at this point. So it's a scary, scary thing. This could happen Main Street, USA.
So, yeah, two things I want to say about assimilation, and I give credit to my parents because I think that this is how important I think it is. My parents got married 3 times. When my parents came from Mexico, they first went to California. They got married in Mexico. They got to California, and they felt they needed to marry in the U.S., so they got married in California. Then they moved to El Paso, and they got married again in El Paso. That's assimilation.
That's assimilation.
My parents are they became Americans. They're both naturalized U.S. citizens, and they proudly wave that U.S. flag. My dad, he has a light on it at night. He never brings that flag down.
That's awesome.
And I'm very proud of that. And so and I'll shift over to the cartels, because the cartels are present in every part of our country. Mm-hmm. These cartels are not even the same as when I was there 10 years ago. Yeah. These guys are highly sophisticated networks, organizations. They're not drug gangs anymore. These guys, besides being heavily armed, trained, they've got the money, they've got the intelligence. They know exactly what's going on, not just on the Mexican side, but on the U.S. side. That's why they're able to shift immediately with whatever Border Patrol is doing. And guess what Border Patrol is doing right now? Taking care of the kids and the family units.
Exactly.
They're not patrolling the border.
Yeah.
And so they're having a free-for-all. The meth, the fentanyl continues to come in, the cocaine, the heroin, even more so now. Mm-hmm. I was down there. I went to the border a couple of weeks ago.
Hang tight real quick, because we're going to get into that.
Okay.
But we got to take a quick break. Let's talk about TacPack for a minute. Premier monthly subscription box for military tactical prepper and Second Amendment enthusiasts. If you don't think you need some TacPack in your life, just listen to Victor's story a time or two. With new attacks on the Second Amendment rights, now is important for you to be able to get equipped, right? And TacPack's going to help you do that. $49.95 a month. You get at least $100 worth of gear from different companies like 511, Sons of Liberty, Gunworks, Mission First, Tactical Armor Spec, whole lot more. You get AR-15 parts and accessories, EDC tools, knives, and gear to keep you prepared for when it hits the fan. And trust me, it's all over the wall right now. The next pack is a perfect jumping in point to see what these boxes are all about. Lots of variety in this one. 7 items total that include range gear, tools, EDC, apparel, and a whole lot more. Go to TacPack.com and sign up today. Use promo code CHAD at checkout to receive a free extra bag of tactical stuff shipped out with your first pack. Don't wait. These are flying off the shelf. They usually sell out before the deadline, and they have the last few months. Go to TAC, that's TACpack.com. Sign up today. TACpack.com. Offer code CHAD. We'll be right back. You need to grab Victor's book. AgentUnderFireBook.com is where you can get it. AgentUnderFireBook.com. Gripping story, a lot of details that are in that. But you, as you alluded to before the break, and we were talking the other night, you just got back from the border. What's going on down there?
Well, I had to go down there. I stay on top of it on a daily basis with my colleagues and other sources. But this was unique. I said I have to go see it for myself. Yeah. And let me tell you, Chad, as a seasoned agent, I was blown away by what I saw down there. It is beyond a crisis. It's a dire situation down there. I went down to the river. This is McAllen, Texas, Hidalgo County, Mission, Texas area. Mm-hmm. I went down to the agents and I spoke with them directly. And you see the videos of the migrants walking on those roads. It's about a 2-mile walk from the river to where they turn themselves in, the first contact they have with Border Patrol agents. They're not apprehensions. Mm-hmm. They're turning themselves in. When I was there was about 400 plus individuals, men, women, and children under those bridges. And I talked to the agents, and they're very apprehensive. I had never seen the agents on edge like this, beyond being overwhelmed and everything else they're going through. They just want to work and do their job, and they tell me we don't know how to do this. We're not medical assistants. We're not transporters.
So the other day I made a social media post. I said, you want to solve the crisis. One of the big things we've got to do is we've got to let ICE agents and Border Patrol do their job.
Simple as that.
Do their job.
Simple as that.
They're not doing it. They're not being allowed to do it.
And forget the interior enforcement. When Biden paused the 100-day of deportation, another signal: come over. You only have 100 days to come over.
Right.
Anyway, I talked to them, and they're telling me incredible information that of the individuals coming over. First of all, the 400 plus individuals that were there, I was still under the assumption that they were going to go to the Donna facility that we've all seen on TV. Mm-hmm. No, these went straight to the street. And I said, what's going on? They said, yeah, we're going to put them on a bus, and they're going to downtown McAllen, Texas, and they're going to get on a bus or an airplane. I followed them. They put them on a bus. I followed them to downtown McAllen, Texas. They get off. They go into a tent that FEMA had set up. I don't even know if it's even up right now anymore. They were doing some COVID testing at least, because they weren't even doing that. No DNA testing with the kids and these individuals. Let me tell you, every man, woman, and child had 1 or 2 children at least with them. You don't know if they're their actual children or not, or their parents or next of kin. No NTA, no notice to appear, the official document that they need to show up to court whenever their court date comes up in 3 years, which we know they're not going to show up anyway. But that wasn't even issued. They were released almost with no documentation. And I follow them. They get COVID tested. If they're negative, they go into this Catholic Charities, highly suspect. I went into the Catholic Charities. I don't even know if anybody else has had access in there, but the guard, the 22-year-old guard, let me in. By the way, he's had COVID 3 times. The poor kid, because of all the contact with all the illegals coming through. Highly organized. They have all the shampoos and everything. Like, it looks like a grocery store in there. They give them clothing. They give them toiletries. They give them a meal. And then they come out with money. They had come out with some envelope with paperwork in there. I'm trying to get access to what's inside that envelope. But they're telling me there's money in there, enough money to board, buy a bus ticket or an airline ticket. And I saw them board that buses, and I saw them board airlines, Southwest Airlines and American Airlines, without identification. And when I was at the airport, I even talked to the border agent. I got out of the line and I said, listen, I'm not going to be able to go through if I don't show my ID. But why are all these illegals getting through without an ID? What are they using to get on the plane? Well, they're using our paperwork, either the Form 213, which is a demographic form of name, ID, date of birth, and address. And I said, well, who gave you that information? Well, the alien did. Well, and they're taking their word for it. And that's it. They board a plane, and here you go, throughout the country, coming to a town near you.
Yeah.
And that's where the real problem is going to start. Yeah. When they come to your town, and your town is going to be having to absorb these individuals into the education system, the criminal justice system, the healthcare system, you're going to see what's going to happen and the differences. And this is not fear mongering. This is reality, because the border challenge is already happening. You see Democrat mayors already calling for help, because they don't know what to do when they drop 300-400 kids at a time. When they have a small school system of 1,000 students, you dump 400 students. Oh, and the Border Patrol agents tell me a lot of them are illiterate. They can't read or write Spanish, let alone English. And a lot of health conditions, tuberculosis, whooping cough. I mean, a lot of problems. And our communities are going to face these real issues around the whole country. So that's why I say your local elected officials are gonna it's the most important to be paying attention to them now. They are gonna start making decisions. Your city councilman, your mayor, your school board, your county commissioners, they're gonna make decisions. Are they gonna make decisions that are gonna favor U.S. citizens or illegal aliens?
Yeah. And I've said over and over again that we've got this white guilt complex, right? That we've mistreated red people, brown people, and black people in the past. Now we've got to atone for our sins, and we've got to take care of the folks at the border. Now they're coming, and that when you're sitting in Ohio somewhere and not dealing with this, it's easy to cast judgment. Say you guys need to be compassionate down there. Well, guess what, Ohio? They got plane tickets coming to you. And the Biden administration understands that the further these folks move into the interior of the country, the harder it is for them to ever leave. Now you can't get them back to. They're not going back home.
They're not. He's not deporting them to begin with.
Right.
ICE is not doing any enforcement. There was an operation a couple of months ago. As soon as Biden became president, he stopped Operation Talon. This is an operation by the other side of ICE, the enforcement removal operations, that was removing convicted sex offenders illegally in our country. And he said, get rid of that operation. If you can't get rid and deport illegal aliens convicted of sex offenses in our country, then who can you deport? Those are the worst of the worst. this is the path that we're headed with this administration, and it's a public safety issue. It's a national security issue, because remember the 2 Yemenis that were arrested and they were arrested in March, and there was 11 Iranians arrested in Arizona a couple of months ago. These individuals from special interest countries are also coming in. It's not just Mexico and Central America. There's Chinese, Haitians, Cubans, Middle Easterners, South Americans. People from all over the world are coming through Mexico because they got the signal. Come on in.
Yeah, I keep saying it's, Motel 6. We'll leave a light on for you, and that thing is shining like a lighthouse right now.
What is our state government doing?
Well, great question, because Texas DPS, and I saw a huge presence of them, and the troopers are the ones doing the patrolling right now. They're on the river with their boats. They're doing great jobs. They've rescued little kids that were almost drowning in the river.
I saw that.
They've done great work because the Border Patrol is not there. And but they only have certain jurisdiction when it comes to the border. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to the immigration, that's not their jurisdiction. You still need to hand it over to Border Patrol.
So do we have like our state guard? Are they down there as well?
No, not yet.
It's
not yet.
I don't. What is our governor? He
Chad
in control
was our governor. They would have been down there.
Well, we
6 months ago.
We had 25,000 for the inauguration, right? There should be down at the border.
Yeah.
They should be down at the border.
And hang on, we got to take a quick little break here, but I want to get into some solutions as we're moving forward, because identifying the crisis is one thing, solving it is a complex issue, and I want us to talk a little bit about that. Meanwhile, our corporations, they're meddling in our democracy and canceling free speech. You got to support companies that support our values and believe in the Constitution. If you haven't already, go to patriotmobile.com/Chad right now. Switch over today. Bring your own phone. Get 50% off your first 2 months plus a free Patriot starter kit. And while you're there, you can enter to win a free phone and cellular service for life. All the details are on my special page, patriotmobile.com/Chad. Patriot Mobile's got the broadest nationwide coverage, uses the same towers as all the other major carriers, so you get the same great service. Plus, they got plans to fit any budget, including multi-line discounts. It's easy to switch. Go to patriotmobile.com/Chad, or you can call their U.S.-based customer service team at 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT. Veterans and first responders are going to save even more, so make the switch today. Get the discount, a free starter kit, a chance to win cellular service for the rest of your life with offer code CHAD. I spell it Chad. That's patriotmobile.com/Chad, or call 972-PATRIOT. Be right back. All right, the cartels are in control. The cartels are determining the destiny of Mexico at this stage in the game, determining our destiny in many ways. It's ugly. We've got traffickers. They're distracting law enforcement that is there. They drop a kid over the fence. All the resources go to that, right? And we all love children, so we've got to have our compassion. Can't say things that are too strong about anybody, because these are the children, right? It's the kids in the cages. It's all of these different things, and they control that narrative, right? But the crisis is there, real stuff. Human traffickers making $15 million a day, and my friend called me the other day. He's coming back from Mexico. He said all lanes are open. They're just waving people through. They're not even stopping to check credentials in vehicles. What is the solution? What do we do?
There's a lot of solutions there that I even outlined in my book. First, let's talk cartels. They need to be designated as foreign terrorist organizations. I know Governor Abbott sent a letter to Biden administration asking for that. It goes through the State Department first. I've been talking about that for years. They should have been designated a long time ago. This would open up different resources like DOD resources, and most importantly, we get to seize their assets, their money. A lot of people that push back about that designation, they say, well, they're not like ISIS. They're not like the Al-Qaeda. I don't care about the ideology. They're worse and violent than those organizations, those terrorist organizations, and their money and power is their ideology. Let's take away that. Let's take away the money. It would allow the gangs in the United States that work with the cartels they would then be associating with a terrorist organization, so they would become one themselves. We would see people raise their hands and say, wait a minute, I'm not in Chicago, these gangs, I'm not dealing with the terrorist organizations, because you're going to go to prison for life. And maybe we'll go put you in Guantanamo because you're a terrorist organization. The Sinaloa cartel, the cartel Jalisco New Generation, the Zetas cartel. They're now terrorists. If you start communicating with ISIS today, you're going to get a knock on your door by FBI. Well, if you start dealing drugs with Sinaloa, we're going to come and pick you up the same way. And I think that was the best way to do it. That's the way to dismantle these organizations. Other solutions is we need to, I outlined this also in the book, send a surge down to the border. Let's have a skeleton crew in D.C. to take care of administrative work, and let's send our 20,000 Border Patrol agents down to the border, our HSI, ICE agents and officers down to the border with the National Guard, minimum 18 months, and let's seal that border. Let's re-implement the Title 42 with the pandemic, the Remain in Mexico. These policies were working. They were working by keeping these people back. The signal needs to be sent to the rest of the world that if you come to this country, you're going to be detected, you're going to be detained, and you should be possibly prosecuted. Remember, they're coming in illegally. It's a violation of 8 U.S.C. 1325, illegal entry to the United States. If you start putting people for their first time offense 6 months in federal prison, they're going to start thinking twice about coming here. But that word needs to be spread like a wildfire, saying, well, wait a minute, I don't want to go to prison if I go to the United States. They need to know that there's a consequences versus I'm going to get free stuff when I get to the United States.
Ticket and an envelope with cash.
Right. And so that's another solution I see. There's many that Mexico, whether we like it or not, they have to be part of this solution. We have to include them. We have to do what we have to do with Mexico. And I'm talking about making them do it.
Which is what Trump did, you said earlier.
That's right. Trump did this. He got on the phone with President of Mexico and said, I'm going to raise your tariffs. I'm going to raise your, I'm going to stop the money that flows, that's repatriated back from the illegal aliens in this country to Mexico, which is $28 billion a year. That would crumble Mexico. What did AMLO do? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I'll put the National Guard down on our southern border. And it worked. But Biden comes in and they're not doing anything. Right now, the Mexican government and the National Guard are giving out these, for all intents and purposes, even when I was there, they give them, it's not a pass, but it's like I call it a ticket, a free ticket to go to the U.S. They go to INM, which is a Mexican immigration service. They get this permit, and then they waive that permit everywhere. Even if the National Guard stops them, say, hey, I got the permit. Well, guess what? They paid for the permit. And even some National Guard are being paid. It's all corrupt down there. And they're being waved through. We know they're being waved through because we're seeing them come into our country. Hundreds of thousands of them.
Yeah, they're estimating 1 million by summer.
Oh, yeah.
We've had 100,000 in the last month compared to last year, the same month, 27,000. These numbers are astronomical. We throw around such numbers that it kind of becomes white noise at this point. And I know that there's a lot of people watching the show right now and they're commenting on the live chat talking about build the wall, build the wall, build the wall. We do need to build the wall, but the wall's not the end all solution.
No.
It's just
it's part of that puzzle.
It is.
Yeah.
I have a section there about the wall, and people will get a good understanding of what the wall would do. I remember the cases that I worked where I saw SUVs full of drugs just drive by the river down in Hudspeth County. There's hardly any water like it is down here in the valley. And so backpackers with hundreds of pounds of weed would come over and just dump them on the other side. But now it's cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, and pills, counterfeit pills. These guys are making a killing, these cartels, with that kind of money. And they're just driving across. That's where the wall stops that type. And I understand that it's not a solve all, it's an additional tool. But let me tell you, Border Patrol wants that tool. Sure. They need that tool.
I also understand that the wall has already been, that is funded, and the material is there, and the construction workers are there.
I saw
They're just not allowed to.
The planks of the wall, I saw them. They stopped abruptly. I know that the DHS secretary said last week, we're going to go build and stop some of the, and build some of the gaps. Well, there's a lot of gaps.
Yeah.
You know, I want the whole wall to be done. But there's the infrastructure around the wall, roads that Border Patrol needs to patrol those areas that were destroyed because of the construction. They need to go back and at least fix that and finish those projects.
Yeah.
Well, I was just, Victor, given your February 15th event, 2011, and knowing how infiltrated we are in the U.S., do you feel like you have a bounty on your head? Do you still live in fear? Do you think somebody could come after you?
Great question, Natalie. No. At first, no. The answer is no. I purposely do not. I still live my life like I did as a law enforcement agent. You know, I always have security in my mind, in my house, with my family, and my firearm. I carry my firearm and all that. But no, I can't live my life that way. If somebody wants to take me out, I guess they would, right? Anywhere. I could die anywhere. That's, I didn't die that day, but no, I really don't think that these guys are doing that. They're all in prison, and there's horrific things that are going on with our case there. The murder charge that was used to convict them was dismissed by the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeal last year. Dismissed. So as I talk to you right now, they're not in prison for the murder of Special Agent Jaime Zapata. They're there for my attempted murder and weapons charges. We're gonna have to go back to DC sometime this year, to beg the judge to please re-sentence them to life, because now they're not looking at life, they're looking at up to life. You know what up to life means? 5 years, 10 years, 20, we don't know. And so it's devastating to the Zapata family. I talk to them a lot, and this is that we're still dealing with that.
Jeez.
So they're in our federal prison?
They're in U.S. federal prison, yes.
Okay. They're
They're all in Supermax in Colorado. They're going to be brought out and re-sentenced, and I'm hoping they do. We have a law, Senator Cornyn, and a bipartisan law to change that, because what they used, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals said, well, this happened extraterritorially. It happened outside of the United States. And so therefore the murder statute doesn't apply, even though it's been used many times before. And so we have a law right now at the legislation hoping to pass, which is the most ironic thing in the world to me, that it might end up passing under the Biden administration, but it didn't pass under the Trump administration, because they wouldn't give Trump anything.
Yeah.
And but nevertheless, we hope it passes, because we still have agents serving abroad everywhere around the world.
Man, broken system. Hang tight. Be right back. The name of the book, Agent Under Fire. You can get it at agentunderfirebook.com. Check it out. You need to get a copy. You need to read it. Look how handsome you are in this picture here. Wow. I love it, dude. I want to have you back. There's so much we could talk about, and every time we have a conversation, I learn. So I appreciate you. I really do.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you for having me.
Thankful for you. Thankful that you're, by the grace of God, here and able to tell that story. And our prayers certainly for the Zapata family as they're still dealing with this trial or this court situation that's just ludicrous. I tell you, man, while you're praying, pray for our country. We're in some deep stink here, and we got the wrong administration in there to fix it. I want you guys to go to watchchad.com. That's where all the fun stuff is. Check us out. I got my Yellow Rose shirt on right here. Yesterday was San Jacinto Day, so I identify as Texan. Pick up a ticket. Come see us, Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City, we're going to be at the National Cowboy Hall of Fame and Western Heritage Museum. And National Livestock Commission is actually sponsoring that show for us. Did I get that right, Allison? Who is it? Western Livestock Commission. There you go.
You're close.
I was close. It's a mouthful when you say all those things. We're going to be there. Jesse Payton's going to be with me. The Ragamuffins are going to be there. Found out we're going to be singing the national anthem at the Texas Rangers baseball game. Now, I know a lot of people are going, we're mad at the MLB. We're mad at the Major League Baseball. Well, I'm still going to sing the national anthem at the baseball game.
Still going to be there.
Yeah, that's just one of those things. Hey, y'all have a great weekend. We love you. God bless you. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.